our Flex opener, as always, we'll start with a welcome from the President of the Trustees, Carolyn Inman. We'll hear a welcome from our Chancellor, Dr. Juliana Barnes. I will provide some remarks, and then today we are very lucky because I'm going to shut up and let some really smart people do the talking, and they're going to tell us about their experience at Saddleback College, particularly as first-generation students at Saddleback, which is really going to be a big focus for us in the coming year. But how about these buildings? How about Saddleback at APEC? Yeah. The second part of our doubleheader, we are going to go outside at about 3:30 and have a formal ribbon cutting. So that's why we brought you out here, so that you can attend both events. And we'll talk more about the buildings and get a chance to acknowledge and thank a lot of people who have made all this possible at that time and focus just on our Flex opener for now. So let me first thank the trustees for coming to the doubleheader today. So let me introduce them briefly to you. If you'd like to stand up, please do. Marcia Milchiker, Lisa Bartlett, Dr. Terry Rydell, TJ Prendergast, President of the Board Carolyn Inman, and Trustee Ryan Dack. And our Chancellor, Dr. Juliana Barnes. Thank you all for being here. Like I said, ribbon cutting will take place at 3:30. We think there'll be a fairly short program. We'll certainly be done with all the program and the cutting and all that stuff before 4. And then if you haven't been through the buildings yet, you'll have an opportunity to walk through. The faculty, the classified professionals who are going to be proudly working in this building have made it possible that you, am I getting a little feedback there? Sorry, I'll step back. Have made it possible for you to see how these classrooms are going to be used. So we'll see some demos, some cool things happening throughout the building as you tour it today. So without further ado, I want to get on with the first of the doubleheaders, which is our Flex opener. So we'll start with a welcome from the President of the Board of Trustees, Carolyn Inman. Carolyn, please.
This is so exciting. Welcome back. A very special start of the semester, much more so than usual. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude and admiration for all of the things that you do. Faculty, administrators, classified professionals, staff, we know that it's the wavering commitment to our students and to the mission of the college. As we begin this fall semester, Saddleback College continues to be a beacon of academic excellence and opportunity. That's a credit to your passion, your innovation, and the relentless focus on student achievement. The board is proud to support the work that you do every day in classrooms, in offices, online, and in the community to create a learning environment that's inclusive, forward-thinking, and rooted in equity. We are very excited for this year and know that it holds many things, including challenges, but we also know the strength of this college community. We believe in you, we are here, and we were here to support you in every way that we can. So thank you very much again for all the things that you do, and have a great semester. Thank you.
Thank you, President Inman. Chancellor of the South Orange Community College District, Dr. Juliana Barnes.
Thank you so much. All right, just a few things. Allow me to also add my welcome to the fall 2025 semester. I usually don't say welcome back because a lot of us are like, wait a minute, we didn't go anywhere. So, but for those of you who were gone, welcome back. And for those of you who have been working throughout the summer, happy to see you here. It's so strange. This morning I was like, oh my gosh, it's already the kickoff for fall of 2025. So if you're like me, you woke up and you're like, where did the summer go? You always say, oh, I'm going to take care of this and that and this and that, but it went by so quickly. But hopefully you found some time to ground yourselves, spend some time with family and other loved ones, and perhaps you found a new hobby. There's a reason why I have this tomato right here, because I discovered a hobby this summer as well, and that is a love for gardening. So this is actually a tomato from my garden, so I'm super proud of it. And interestingly, it kind of reminds me of our jobs, right, as leaders and practitioners, and maybe our students. You're really not a tomate, but But with our students, right, we have to learn about them, we nurture them, we see them grow, and sometimes there's different varieties, and so you have to treat them according to the various varieties as well, right? So kind of on a related note, I'm really excited about this year as well because our board approved our new strategic and facilities master plan called Inspire 2035. I know you've all heard all about it and you've been super engaged. There was actually 40 members who were part of the Chancellor's Planning Commission, but beyond that, there were hundreds of students, classified professionals, and faculty and administrators who helped to shape Inspire 2035. I know you're going to be hearing more about it because Saddleback College is in the midst of and going to continue to align the college-specific goals and priorities and tactics and KPIs to Inspire 2035. So we're super excited about it. And I know you are too, and that's because you all are already champions for our students. One thing I do want to mention about Inspire 2035, there's 12 goals, there's 6 district-wide strategic priorities, but there's one bold vision and mission statement. And the one line that I'm going to share with you is the mission statement, which starts off by saying, students are at the heart of our mission. And I know Saddleback College gets it because you live and breathe that every day. 3 thoughts related to that. Saddleback College, what you already do. First of all, you all already know you're constantly in the news for being award-winning, right? Because you are a top-ranked institution for a reason, because you get that students are the center of all that we do. There's 3 thoughts and then maybe a 4th one as well. You innovate, you disaggregate, and you aggravate. You innovate all the time. You're known to carry out high-impact practices. You read the literature, you read the research, and then you're not shy about implementing that to make sure that all of our students are succeeding. Likewise, you disaggregate. You use disaggregated data, qualitative and quantitative. And then when you disaggregate the data, you look at where there's gaps and where we're losing students, and then you take institutional responsibility for the loss of those students, and then employ practices to make sure that the students have what they need academically and beyond to make sure that they make it to the finish line. That's why you're award-winning. That's why our students come here. That's why Saddleback College has the reputation that it has. And then finally, you aggravate. You disrupt. We all know that higher education wasn't necessarily designed for all of our students. And so you're courageous, you're bold. You think to yourselves, wow, something needs to change. You need to disrupt. You need to change the paradigm. You need to do something different. And you're not shy about doing that. And that's why you have the success that you have. That's why our students are able to succeed when they come from all walks of life. So again, you innovate, you disaggregate, you aggravate, and then dare I also say that you love. You love our students. Students are at the heart of our mission. I have a pin here that's shaped like a heart. It's the symbol of our district. You love. And so a lot of times we talk about the hard, quantitative outcomes, or like persistence, retention, graduation rates, and all of that. There's something squishy called climate, culture, sense of belonging that's harder to measure. But what I love about Inspire 2035 and what we're going to be doing as we move forward in the future is really paying close attention to that love, to the climate, to the culture that we're building for students, so that they feel that love. Because we know the more that students feel that love and that sense of connection, that sense of belonging, the more likely they are to persist and succeed and make it into their goals. So there is a strategic priority focused specifically on that. It's not called love, it's called student-centered culture. I call it love. There's also a priority focus on workplace culture for employees. We have over 3,000 employees. We have about 60,000 students district-wide. Our employees matter too, and I heard loud and clear from our employees. What about us? We want to make sure that we pay attention and that we're advancing and improving our workplace culture. So there's also a strategic priority based on that. And all of that, I will also want to say that just because I have to fold in something with this tomato beyond just telling you that I'm a gardener now, the plan itself, again, there was hundreds of people who helped to develop the plan. So I'd like to say it was organically grown. That's the closest I could get to any kind of analogy to my tomato. So with that said, thank you all for your continued work, for loving our students and doing everything that you need to do to make sure that all of our students succeed. Have a fantastic fall of 2025, and thanks to your lovely president, who's just a wonderful leader as well, and for leading the way forward. So thank you, and have a great semester.
Thank you, Julie. Last up is me. And then I want to give the floor to 4 of our former students who are first generation, to talk about their experience at Saddleback College so that we can kick off our focus on first generation students in the coming year. But before I do that, and as I always do at each of our Flex openers, I want to talk a little bit about the year ahead and what makes this special. So as I look outside, the ribbon has been put in place since we've been here and they're setting up. Pretty darn exciting. The faculty will be crossing that ribbon and seeing this building for the first time. No, they will not. They've been here for weeks getting ready for this moment and toured many times. But we will see it, many of you will see it for the first time. And it is, as Carolyn said, a beacon of what we do and a beacon in the community that shows people what we do and the quality with which we do it. But I want to share with you, in addition to the opening of this facility and its state-of-the-art programming for culinary and hospitality and for auto tech, I also want to share with you some of the other things, big things, that are going to be happening this year. It's going to be a very special year for us at Saddleback. So first, if you haven't been back on campus in a while, the quad is open, and the quad is essentially finished. A few little details still need to be wrapped up. But it's a beautiful, innovative space to make our students feel that sense of belonging and welcome that, as Julie said, is what informs their success and what creates the climate that gives them that sense of belonging. Students were actually part of the design process for that, and that has been very important to us. In January, we will open another new facility, the Math and Computer Science Building. State-of-the-art cybersecurity lab with a glass opening into the lobby so that people who never dreamed of a job in cybersecurity can see exactly what it means. A huge digital wall to mimic the workplace facilities of the future that any of them could end up working in. It's going to be a grand, grand facility that finally is good enough for the people who work in those facilities and the students who study in them. In addition, in September, we'll be opening up the Basic Needs Center and the Multicultural Center that has been in the planning for, oh my God, it's got to be like years, several years, that we've been talking about and planning for and building a multicultural space. We finally have a new space that is not in a portable, and we're very excited, and we'll have an open house to celebrate that. The new cafeteria will be open, so this is still on the second floor at this point of College Center. So CC replaced SSC, if you haven't been paying attention for a while. So the cafeteria and CC will reopen in just a few weeks, just a few little details that we're working on. We will finally have food service on campus in addition to the food trucks that have helped us get by this period. We'll finally have ongoing food service from a company called ISSI, and we're very glad to be partnering with them. We will also be building and finishing up on a cafe in the first floor. So you all saw Peaks Cafe across the way. Peaks Mission Viejo will be opening on the first floor of the College Center in the old International Program space. Where's Angela? Thank you for giving up your space and moving, because it gave us an outside entrance and a great idea for a cafe right in the College Center. So that one's probably a few more weeks away than the cafeteria, but certainly will open this term. The BGS quad mural will be painted this October. The Wonder sign will be done likely later this semester. We're currently in design phase for the ultimate renovation of CC, and that'll take place a few years from now when we will move the cafeteria to the first floor and it will open up out onto the quad. Much as these buildings have these nano doors that open up into the central courtyard, the new Union, the new CC, will have open doors that open up into the quad and that cafeteria on the first floor instead of the second floor. In addition to that, we're in design phase for central plant replacement. So we currently have a plant, in case you don't know and haven't heard me say it, that uses natural gas. We burn natural gas to make electricity. I know what you're saying. How whacked is that? How anti-environmental is that? You're absolutely right. We've been working on it, and we're going to replace that plant with a state-of-the-art electric plant in the next few years. Dozens of charging stations exist now throughout campus in our new parking lot, in the softball area, and also in the parking lot with the solar panels, 5A. Those will be set up to actually operate, the charging stations in place. We're just weeks away from getting them going. So if you have an EV, you can get it serviced in this building. No, not yet. But you can certainly charge it when you're on main campus at the new charging stations. We know we've been waiting for those for a while. You saw the fruits of our Landscape 2 project that we beautified so much of campus. We're about to go out to bid for Landscape 2, for Beautification 2, for some additional areas that still need refurbishing with new landscape, or in some cases, parking and access. Finally, we're going to get a nice drop-off point for parents who are dropping off students or anyone dropping off a student between Gateway and Health Sciences, so they won't have to pull into parking lot 13 to keep doing that. Academically, we have tons of new programs and new courses starting. You may have heard we're starting a surgical tech program. We've already been building that out for a new state-of-the-art lab for that program that starts in January. In the student services area, we'll be continuing the shift that we've been making over the last few years from what I call passive supports to active supports. So passive support, what is done traditionally at community colleges, we build it, we put it on the website, and the students who need us will come. Well, we know that doesn't work for a lot of students, and we're going to talk about first-generation students in particular today. But beyond even first-generation students, many students will never avail themselves of those supports if you're waiting for them to come to you. So what we've been doing very innovatively, creatively, doing now presentations across the state. We have one coming up nationally, talking about our student needs survey. A survey that tells the students before they even start the semester what they need from us. We ask them a series of questions, and we, and when I say we, that's very easy for me to say, dozens of you in, I think, 11 different units of the college reach out to those students who have an affirmative response to one of the inquiry statements on the survey and reach out to them and schedule the appointment and offer the loaner laptop and tell them about the Basic Needs Center and set them up for mental health counseling. Whatever it is they need, we reach out to them. That shift from passive to active supports continues in a lot of areas. Counseling has been moving in that direction as well. Why is this so important to us? I will tell you. Oprah did a couple of really important reports last year, if you haven't heard of them. And one that's the most impressive to me is that traditional tutoring, that is tutoring where students come to the tutoring center for tutoring, works. How well does it work? Students who go to the tutoring center for traditional tutoring in the courses that Oprah looked at had a grade higher, one full letter grade higher. And this was after correcting for self-selection bias, using propensity score weighting to make sure we weren't just looking at the students who went to tutoring as already a special class of students who did that for that purpose. So the question becomes, if we know tutoring works, why are we not set up to reach out to the students who would benefit instead of waiting for them to head to the LRC? That's what we mean by passive to active supports. And with more and more evidence of which supports work and how effective they are, and in many cases how cost effective they are, why wouldn't we reach out to the students who need it instead of them waiting to come to us? We are continuing to work on the tips, the steps, the remedies, the fixes for when we give faculty that little sheet at the start of the semester that shows their course completion rates with the disaggregated data that Chancellor Burns referred to, and they see those gaps and they see where maybe other faculty are on their completion rates, and they say to us, thank you for this information, now what do I do about it? We are coming up with more and more things for them to do. We are looking at an ongoing survey and study that's happening right now this semester at what our practices are right on our campus that we can hone down into simple practices that all faculty can adopt to increase those course completion rates and to narrow, if not close completely, those equity gaps. Of course, all of this is facilities and programming and student supports, but what makes all of this, and again, Chancellor Barnes referred to this, is the special sauce, and the special sauce at Saddleback is the people. So I want to first ask those folks, you got my report this morning of new folks. We introduce them as we always do each year with a full bio and pictures when we can get their pictures in time. But I want to ask them to stand up for just a moment. If you're new in the last year, please stand up. Welcome. We are so glad you are part of our family. It's what keeps us fresh. You bring new ideas to us from other places. You bring fresh passion and more heart, and it's what keeps the special sauce going and makes sure that it never gets stale. And that's really key for me, that when you look at facilities, when you look at programming, when you look at student supports, what it really comes down to is that special sauce. And for us, that is the people and the way in which we deliver that programming, the way in which we deliver those student supports, which is always with heart, which is always with humanity, which is always remembering that it is about these folks and being student-centered in everything we do. It is about inclusiveness and belonging and equity and a sense of confidence that comes when these people know that we love them. And those 28,000 people are precious to us. And when they know that, it makes a difference in everything that they do and how they perform and how successful they become. So, special sauce, all this work we've been doing, does it do anything? Come on, it's more talk, right? We've been talking about this stuff. Does it do anything? Well, let's look at a few data points. So first of all, last year, 57th year of history of Saddleback College, was record enrollment for us for 57 years. And think about that in terms of the declining high school population of the major feeder districts that feed us. We had record enrollment. We weren't supposed to have record enrollment. We're supposed to be a college that is going to have to be contracting over the years as we get used to lower enrollments of traditional age students. But we're not. How about that? So is the special sauce working? More people are coming to us than ever in our history. There is something happening. What are we doing with those folks? Are we churning them through, or are we getting better at getting them, as these folks got, to the finish line? Well, let's look at degree awards. We haven't heard this announced yet. 24-25 credential awards, Saddleback College, 6,258. 6,258 credentials, the number one in Orange County. We are number one in associate degrees because of special sauce. The students we take in record numbers are more likely to complete than any student we have ever taken in our history. Our overall completion in just 3 years, which is a hard measure and more and faster than the average student can do it, award completions within 3 years are currently at 36%. And just put that in perspective, nationally for community colleges, that number is below 25%, and we're at 36%. So we are doing something that is actually working, and we can see it when we see that river of red at commencement flowing down to the stadium to receive their credentials. It is actually working. Additionally, there are these correlates that I always refer to. How do we know that our work, our intentional work, is actually having an impact? So let's look at the correlates, the things that actually add up to completion at the end, and see if we're making a difference in some of those outcomes. So let's look at a couple. If we look at the work that counselors and math and English faculty in particular have been doing since AB 705, we may want to look at the last 4 or 5 years in particular to see how that's affected student completion of math and English in their first year, which is part of the goal of what we wanted to do. Well, math and English completion since AB 705, so since we chose 2020 to 2021, English completion is up to 55%. It's up 3% in that period. Math is up to 35%, also up 3% per year. It's at 3% in that period. And the number of students who complete both transfer level math and English in the first year is also up 3% in that year. You say, maybe you say, I hope you don't, 3%, come on, Elliot, that's not a big deal. No, that's huge. That is what you get from intentional work that is having an impact. 3% is huge. If you look at 3% of 28,000, why did I do this and force myself to do math in my head? That is a really big number. It's 800 students. See if I'm close. Somebody help me. I need a math person. Pretty close. 800 students. Now hear me out. 800 students who otherwise would not have passed those classes who did. 800 people. Human beings. Precious human beings that we love. We don't just say it, we do it, and we're making a difference in their lives. Narrowing of equity gaps. Equity, we still use that word around here, and we're very proud to. Because if there's opportunity, there has to be opportunity for all. And it can't be illusory opportunity. It can't be opportunity for some, but not for everybody. So we continue to look at those equity gaps, and we continue to focus with intentionality on narrowing them so that everybody has a chance to get the American dream into their pockets and into their lives. And when we look at those equity gaps, we have focused on a couple groups in particular, and one of those is Latino groups, Latinos and Latinas. So the Latino population, our student population, first of all, that's about 1/3 of all of our students. That is no small number. And that number for 3-year completion gap was 6% gap, 6% lower than for average students who graduated. So 6% lower than the average student graduation percentage in 3 years. In the last few years, we have narrowed that in half. It is currently 3%. Yeah, that deserves some applause. So let's do that one. So if we talk about 3% greater numbers of people making it to the finish line who are Latino or Latina, and that's about 1/3 of our population, so that's about 9,000 students, and now we talk about 9,000 students, 3% of them making it, greater number of them making it up to the dais. That's 270 students that didn't make it to the dais a few years ago who will now make it to the dais. Hundreds of students, their lives impacted by the work that you are doing, the intentional work we are doing to make their lives better. And finally, I want to share some new data with you that just came out. So College Futures Foundation is a nonprofit that has been very focused on what is commonly referred to as Community College 3.0. Now, maybe you have heard this term. So Community College 1.0 is what we've done for decades. It's open opportunity. We open our doors. Anyone can come here and has an opportunity. And then we said, well, wait a minute, does everybody really have an opportunity? If some people who come to community college only graduate with a 5, 6, 7% graduation rate, is that real opportunity or is that illusory opportunity? So Community College 2.0 was very much about figuring out the success of those students. How do we make more of them successful, not only in individual courses, not only in getting from term to term, but ultimately making up to the dais and getting their credential. And that's what we've been focusing on for the last few years, and with great success, as you heard. Community College 3.0 is this new thing. And don't blow this off, because it's not just College Futures talking about, it's the State Chancellor's Office, it's legislatures, it's our accrediting body, ACCJC. Everybody is moving to 3.0. What is 3.0? 3.0 is it's not enough to put a credential in their hand and shake their hand and say goodbye if the value of that credential does not pay off in doing what we promised to do, which is transform their lives, which is to create social mobility, which is now part of our new mission statement as we'll see this term. So if we're going to be serious about saying, well, we're the last bastion of social mobility, you better make sure we are the last bastion of social mobility. And what I'm about to tell you is that we are, and we're doing a really good job of it. So specifically, College Futures looked at a couple of data points. One was, how much does a student make 10 years after they graduate with an associate's degree from any of the community colleges? So it turns out that Saddleback grads make more 10 years after graduation with an associate's degree from Saddleback than from any other community college in Orange County. We're number one. I'm not done. If you look at all the community colleges in Orange County and LA County and San Diego County, there's 42. We're number one in 10-year salaries. How much of that salary is attributable to what we do? What is the value of our degree? That's called an earnings raise, a wage raise. How much of a wage raise do you get with an associate's degree from Saddleback College? So they looked at all the data, they pulled it all together, and the value in terms of wage increase from Saddleback College is over $18,000 a year. An associate's degree. Putting aside, if you go on, you're going to do even better than that, right? An associate's degree will get you a wage increase from Saddleback College of $18,000. In all of Orange County, of all of the 9 community colleges, we are number one in that wage gain. We are number one in that wage gain. The average, by the way, is about $13,000, so it's not even a close contest. But wait, if you look at 42 colleges in Orange, LA, and San Diego County, we are number one in wage gains. We are number one. So whatever you hear about Community College 3.0, I'm here to tell you, bring it. Because we are ready, and we have been living by our mission and transforming lives in an economic way. and we have been creating social mobility for years, and we get better and better and better at it. And this is the most important thing to us. More than any facility we build, the idea that we are living our mission and creating social mobility, we are an engine of change. We are transforming lives. And let me tell you, if you ask our students, if you ask modern students, what do they want? They do not want to save the world. They do not want to understand critical thinking and be able to be intellectually curious. We sneak all those things in, but what they want is to make more money. 87% of them. I'm sorry if you don't love that, but that's the reality of what our students want. And we are delivering what they want. The highest wage gains of 42 colleges in Orange, San Diego, and LA County. We are giving them exactly what they want, and then we sneak in all that other stuff too. Because we want them to be engaged, and we want their lives to be enriched, and we want them to be critical thinkers and engaged citizens. But what they really want is higher wages, and we are doing it. And the way we are doing it is by recognizing that each of them is important, each of them is precious, each of them deserves facilities like this to learn in. That each of them is worthy of our love and our support and everything we do to help them. So whatever is going on in your life, whatever upsets you in the external world, I hear you. It's difficult to read the paper sometimes, but we have to focus on 28,000 precious human beings whose lives can be transformed by the work we do every day. So thank you for that work. And finally, before I introduce our panel, I want to introduce this subject and talk about first-generation students. So first-generation students make up about 18% of our student population. So in any given year, about anywhere between 5,000 and 6,000 of our students are first-generation students. And we know that nationally, we're going to hear some exceptions to that, but nationally we know that first-generation students, and this was certainly my experience, first-generation students are less likely to avail themselves of counseling and educational planning. They are less likely to seek tutoring. They are less likely to attend office hours of faculty or seek out a faculty mentor. And those are all big things that make a difference for students. And first-generation students are less likely to avail themselves of that. We are trying to help that by this conversion from passive to active supports. And we are seeing some payoff of that. So degree completion, I mentioned, we've hit a 36% level. And that right now is 31% for first-generation students. Now that's still a 5% gap in completion in 3 years for first-generation students. And we're going to address that, and we are going to make it happen this year. But I want you to know that in the last 3 years, that went from 11%. That gap was 11%, and now it's down to 5%, less than half. There are, however, still some important points that we want to focus on for first-generation students in the coming year. And this is my kickoff. This is my handoff to you all. I need your help. I need us to figure out how to address these issues for first-generation students. Course completion. The gap for first-generation students in course completion. By the way, we increased our course completion in the last couple of years by focusing. You remember how many flex kickoffs have we had in the last few years where we said it's about course completion, course completion, course completion. You did it. In 2 years, we went from 75 to 77%. That's huge in terms of the 100,000 students 75 to 70 courses every year. Huge. That's a huge number of students. I'm not figuring that one out, don't ask me to. That now complete courses that didn't used to. But that number is lower for first-generation students. Right now, it's about a 6% gap. Persistence gap, 5% for first-generation student. Completion of math and English in the first year, it's an 11% gap for our first-generation students. Completion of math in the first year, 11% gap for first-generation student. And now you can do the math. What is it for English? That's right, it's 11%, because the total comes out to 11%. So the reality is that we are not perfect. We are doing really good work, and we know how to do this, but we need some focus on this other DI group. We have come so far for our Latino population and our students, but we have made very little progress in some of these critical, what we sometimes call momentum points for our first-generation students. So with that, I invited some students to join us. And as each of them will hopefully tell you, I talked to them on the phone for a few minutes just to hear them and to to see if they would be good for a student panel. And I invited them here, and some of them asked me, what are you going to ask? Could you send us what we're going to ask? And what did I say? No, I wouldn't do it. So one, I want you to know there's no influence here, and two, I also want them to be spontaneous, because what I learned about each of them from talking to them is that they're very articulate and very quick on their feet and are really good at putting together insights when they don't even know how good they are at it. They're a special group of people. So I want to introduce you to our first generation students that I've asked here today and hear maybe some ideas from them. And at the end of our panel, we're going to go outside and do our ribbon cutting, and hopefully it'll survive in the wind. But first I want to hear and get us to focus just a little bit on first generation students. You ready? Thank you for patiently waiting through all of my long statements and looking at my back as we did that. You all are very sweet to do that. So let's get started. I want to hear, just introduce yourself, your name, and maybe when you were at Saddleback, or if you're still at Saddleback, but when you were at Saddleback and what you studied at Saddleback. And then we're going to get to other stuff, so don't feel like you need to push it all into the first answer. Alec, get us started.
Hi, I'm Alec Markin. I started Saddleback College classes around 1994. I just graduated in May, and happy to be here.
Congratulations. Alec was on the dais. Stephanie.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Denna. I was at Saddleback since 2023, and I was studying political science.
Hit us up.
Fernanda Camacho. I went to Saddleback in 2023 out of high school, and I studied anthropology.
And Adam.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Adam. I started Saddleback in 2023. I'm still there, and I'm a business finance major.
So 3 have finished, and 1 is still with us, but they all have great insights to share with you today, even though they probably don't know that, but you do actually have really good insights for us. So let's get us updated. So where are you today? What are you doing today? Alec.
Well, a lot of what I did at Saddleback College was in the dance program over the years, studying and sometimes teaching, choreographing, a lot of performing. Now I've graduated and I'm mainly raising my toddler and also teaching ballroom dance.
Stephanie.
Well, now that I finished, I have done nothing this summer but rest, and I start at San Diego State in about 2 weeks.
And what are you going to study there?
Political science and urban studies.
Fantastic. Fernanda.
I'm also getting ready to transfer. I'm going to be moving up in about a week up to Berkeley.
And what are you studying there?
Anthropology as well.
Adam.
Well, I'm still here. But I'm actually getting set to transfer fairly soon, so I'll be landing at my university in fall 26. So I'm kind of putting together my portfolio and doing all that good stuff.
And these folks were recommended to me as potential panelists when I put a word out to some managers because they're very articulate. They didn't know until I talked to them that the common denominator they have is being first generation students. So it wasn't a big part of who they are, but it's a big part, as you heard, of what we want to do and we want to focus. So what I would like to know from each of you is how you came to be first generation. Tell me the story of your parents, why you're the first generation to go to college. And so you don't feel at all odd about that, I am first generation. Please raise your hand if you're first generation. And among the people who are raising their hand, I would like you to note the chancellor for our district is also first generation, 2 out of 3, and some of our trustees, and 2 out of 3 of my vice presidents. You are in a very elite group of people. There is something about us that maybe makes us strive harder, and maybe that's the influences of our parents, maybe that's something inside of us. But outcomes for first generation students who make it through college are very good, but the trick is, how do we make sure everybody makes it through? So I would like to know, first of all, how you came to be first generation. So tell me a little bit about your parents. How is it you're the first to go to college, Alec?
So I moved to Southern California to pursue acting, and I discovered Saddleback College, and I did acting and dance and singing and various things. And I just discovered there are a lot of amazing teachers and arts programs at Saddleback. I didn't need a degree. I was just looking to grow as a professional artist. But over the years, I kept taking more classes in terms of the arts and dance. And eventually, 2.5 years ago, I decided to look into what it would take to get that AA that I never, got. And it was all the GE classes, of course, which I had never done. And having done that now, I really see the value of what those classes do for you and how it really rounds you out and enriches you. And I can appreciate someone just coming out of high school taken all these classes that aren't necessarily related to the major, but they're very informative. And I had some great teachers. You know, they choose to have you read whatever they have you outside of the curriculum. They make choices to to expose you to. And I'm grateful for the last 2.5 years of just being enriched by all these courses that were necessary to get the AA. I had way more than enough units, but no GE at all. So finally did it, all the homework with the baby. It's been a lot, but it was enriching. I'm glad I did it. And for me, it's kind of something in my pocket now. You know, I have that AA, and it's not just, I didn't just do a bunch of college at this point. I can say I have a degree.
And as you heard, it's worth $18,000 a year.
Apparently, yeah. Waiting for those new students.
And what did your parents do? How is it that you were first generation? Did either of them go to college?
No. One worked in the schools, which is sort of a teaching assistant sort of thing, and one worked in the post office. Never really heard any discussion of, you know, college dreams or careers that would rely on that. And for me, I didn't move here thinking I had needed to rely on college for any sort of degree, but I've come to see the value of the experience.
Stephanie, what'd your parents do? How'd you come to be first generation?
I grew up with a single mother, and she worked 3 jobs growing up with me and my brother. So I saw her kind of struggle in that way, and I went to continuation school because I grew up around gang violence and I was a troubled kid. And then I was pushed to Saddleback, where I dropped out, and then I worked, and I realized I wanted something better for myself. And so I went back to school, and I love what I do now, and I hope to make a change in the future with it.
Good for you. Fernando?
For me, my mom had me at a very early age. She was 15, and so she was dealing with some domestic violence in her relationship, and so she moved herself and I, well, actually my uncle moved her and I to California from Mexico, and so she never was able to finish school, so I'm the first gen.
Adam?
A lot of it was out of necessity. My father, just to get a little bit on the personal side, I want to give you guys some context to my story. I don't want to leave out any like biases or anything. My father got his GED while he was in prison. My mother is an immigrant. She's an immigrant, and she came to this country with nothing. And a lot of it was out of necessity. They couldn't go to school. They had to go to work and provide for me and my family. And what's funny is, growing up, I thought that was normal. Actually, in the finance world, you don't need a college degree. You could get your finance licenses, and you could kind of climb the corporate ladder. So a degree is not necessary, but I remember the day I got my first job at a Mexican restaurant, and I hated it. And I said, I want to work smarter, not harder. So I took the educational route, but that's a little bit about my story. Yeah.
That's good. One common denominator I hear in your stories is a lot of the impetus to go to college was internal. It came from your own experiences, whereas for so many students who are not first generation, that impetus is you're going to college. That's mom or dad talking, right? And it's not even a thought for many families. But for a lot of first generation students, it's very common for that motivation to come from the inside, from your own experiences in life, because your parents may not know what the value of that education is. Another common denominator for first generation students is many of them are sons and daughters of immigrants themselves, because immigrants often are the hardest working, multiple jobs to try to keep bread on the table, and it's not even a thought of going to college. But for that next generation, they realize there can be something better, and that's what they want. So these are not unusual stories that we hear among those first generation students. Let's get to it. No holding back, good or bad. How was your time at Saddleback? Let's reverse it up. Adam, you start.
Time at Saddleback has been great. In the very beginning, it was a bit of a struggle. So me, myself, I've been in the foster system. I've been in detention centers and all that. So my last real education was about 8th grade. I've been inside the system all of my high school years, so I never took trig, I never took calculus, I never took any of that stuff. So when I first landed at Saddleback, it was extremely intimidating because I'm like, oh, these college kids are so smart. And as I was explaining to Dr. Elliott, I kind of turned into like a little kid. I started asking a bunch of questions, and I was curious about everything. and I grew my network that way. And with that being said, I grew a lot of connections, and I got to understand a lot of the opportunities that are at Saddleback, and it allowed me to have a very smooth sailing throughout my coming up on 3 years now. So it's been a great journey, and I love it. And I actually have friends at IVC and some at Golden West, and they're like, I wish I could go to Saddleback. I mean, it's one of the best schools. So
More the Golden West people, not the IVC people. I know what you mean. It's our sister college, in case you don't know. We're all part of
I
the same
didn't know
district.
that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. This is why I asked it for a script.
Fernanda.
Yeah, I started at Saddleback out of high school, and so I went to an immersion high school, so for me it felt very half Latino, half white, and I feel like the main focus was towards the white students. You know, they were in PTA, their parents were paying for the immersion program and stuff like that, and so they were talked to about high school. A lot of, like, I think when I was a junior and a senior, a lot of the Hispanic kids didn't even know, like, when we were supposed to apply to college, sorry. So for me, I felt like Saddleback was my only option, and I think also a lot of my teachers really pushed inferiority on the Latino students, and so when I got to Saddleback, I felt a lot of support from my teachers. They pushed me to do things that I thought were crazy, but it was like, they were like, just go for it. And so I think I owe a lot of my success even to my EOPS counselors. They also pushed me a lot to do the things that I felt like I couldn't do.
Good answer. Stephanie?
I was a lost puppy. I remember I walked onto campus and I was like, how do I reapply to come to school? And someone just randomly helped me. Like, I don't even know who they were, but they just helped me and I reapplied. And then they gave me a bunch of connections to, like, go do this, do this, do this, and they sent me the counselors, and then I was enrolled for fall 2023, and I was so confused, and I remember I saw, like, classes to take, which the first one I took was, like, an intro to Chicanx Latinx studies class, and I don't know, it was just all brand new, and it was just finding my way through.
Who recommended that class to you?
I just saw it, and I saw good reviews, and then Jose Lumbreras.
So you found it.
Yeah.
Alec, what was your experience at Saddleback like?
I feel like I've had two Saddleback careers with a lot of years between them. The first one was a lot of performing arts, a lot of stage time, some yoga, an EMT cert, martial arts. And then the last 2.5 years was the asynchronous online late nights. I don't know how anyone does more than 2 classes at a time because with a baby and on my own, it's a lot. And my high school self came back obsessed with getting an A, so it was lots of typing papers till 5, 6, 7 in the morning. So all in all, it was enriching. And I want to sing the praises of the CalWorks department, because you were talking about the love that you feel for your students and that you put into practice. And Maria, Cindy, Ho-Chin, the staff in CalWorks just blew my mind. I did not expect to feel so wrapped up in love and support and information and guidance. Just absolutely incredible team that you have in the CalWorks program that shepherded me through the last 2.5 years, and that will always be a highlight for me. Not just some of the great teachers I had and the things I learned in these required courses, but also just the incredible way that I felt embraced and supported by CalWorks staff.
I'm going to ask you to flesh that out more, Alec. This is a hard question, but you've got it. I want to know why what you felt, and that was the love and the care and the support, was more important to you in what you talk about rather than which classes to take and which resources to use. What did that mean to you and why?
Well, there's a certain amount of flexibility you have in choosing your GE classes. There's just some things you have to take, which is all important, and I see the need for that. But the staff at CalWorks, I mean, turning me on to scholarships I wouldn't have known that I qualified for, just really, I felt like looked after me, truly cared, and helped me sort things out, how to choose the classes, how to figure out why does that class exist in the calendar, but it doesn't exist. You can't actually, what else will feel like requirement? What classes might feel 2 requirements? All this stuff that, every student has to figure out. But it's so much easier if someone's holding your hand and looking into the options with you and making sure that you're going to get what you need done in the amount of time. In my case, it was 2 asynchronous online classes per semester, but that's all I could handle. I mean, between that and raising a baby, I wouldn't have slept a wink if I had had a third class. So I really wanted to stay on schedule and get what was needed done. And I really relied on the guidance and the support of the counselors, especially CalWorks.
Fernanda, you told a similar story, if I was listening well, about EOPS, that they had a similar impact for you. Did you also feel a vibe? Was there also a sense of being loved and feel like you're important and precious to them?
Yeah, for me, I think I was just really lucky from the first moment that I met my EOPS counselor. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep coming back to her. I think I saw her as, I guess, inspirational. Hearing from her, she was a Latina, she went to UC Riverside, and so I was like, okay, I can do it. And then she would tell me about her journey and her education and how, even for her, I believe she was a first gen also, and even for her it was hard, but she taught me a lot of how I can get there, and she felt more like a friend than a counselor.
So let's take it apart. Let's start with your onboarding, how you started at the college. Tell us, and some of you have already alluded to a little bit of this, but I'm going to ask you to flesh it out a little bit more. What was that starting experience like? How did you manage knowing what to take, where to go, what to do? You know, now we do this formal orientation that's becoming a Bobcat thing. We've done for a couple of years now, Nick? 3 years? So maybe some of you have that experience, but most of you did not. So how did you do it without any formal program like that? How did you pick the classes? How did you know where to go for resources? Adam, we'll start with you because you spoke of, you know, kind of networking and having to find your own resources. Was that the story from the very beginning? Like, I got to do this, I got to figure it out?
When I first came, I was a bit arrogant. I was like, hey, I could do this on my own. I don't need nobody. And so I knew I wanted to do business. So when I first started, I stuck with business and rode with that for a little bit. As I mentioned, I haven't taken any classes prior. It was a struggle when I first came, when I started taking my math classes and that sort of stuff. But what I really needed was a confidence boost, and I got that from like going to the tutoring center. I got my first A in a trig class, which I was even surprised myself about. And for some reason, after taking that, I felt like I could just rule the world. I felt like I could do whatever I wanted. So I remember I went to the counseling center. I said, you know what, scratch my whole plan. I'm going to Ivy Leagues. And they go, okay, sure, right? So we started building a plan, and ever since then, it would be just me thinking outside of the box and thinking, how far can I push myself? And that's really kind of what allowed me to grow. But first coming in, no, I didn't know nobody. I didn't know what I was really doing. In hindsight, it's easy to say that. I didn't know what I was doing, but just like I said, that confidence boost and the support system that I had here allowed me to really realize how far I could go.
So you didn't go to a counselor, you didn't seek out the resource until after you got the A and have the confidence to go do that. Why didn't you go see the counselor from the beginning?
Again, stubbornness. I felt like I could do it on my own. And I'm a very, I like things right. I like things done right. Like, I'm a really big person where things has to be done right away. So I remember I would set an appointment with a counselor. They would go over my plan with me. As soon as I leave, I go, I want to set an appointment with another counselor. And so it would be continuous. Actually, one of the counselors, Taylor Tirone, is back there. That guy he's an absolute beast. I remember.
I've heard that.
So, but I wouldn't have went in if I didn't have that. Honestly, if I probably got a B or C in that class, I probably would have just stuck with it and just did my regular IGETC to CSUs and UCs. But talking to counselors like Taylor, he's like, no, you know, you could do a lot more, and if you want to do it, this is how you do it. And they point out the roadmap, and I never knew it was possible. Yeah, I never knew it was possible.
Fernanda, talking about your onboarding.
I think for me, I just got lucky. I enrolled, I took a bunch of random classes. I was declining EOPS's calls, and I think I went like my second semester, and so the classes that I happened to take fit in my schedule, and when I picked a major, all the classes worked. And I also met a professor who helped me with a lot of stuff after that, but in the beginning it was just, I was trying to do everything myself also. I didn't really feel like going to ask for help, because I don't know, I think going off of my counselor in high school, she was really mean. She wasn't really helpful. She never even talked to me about college, and so I just thought like counselors weren't really helpful, so I wouldn't go.
So super common theme and experience of kind of doing it on their own from the outset, maybe with some luck. But I have to ask, why were you not answering the calls from EOPS? Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, it's just because I was thinking of my high school counselor, and so I thought like, oh, it's gonna be an annoying lady, she's gonna be super rude. And I just thought, I don't know, I was having that impression from my previous counselor, so I didn't really feel like going.
I have a brother-in-law who will not go to a dentist, and it's because once when he was a child, a dentist hit a nerve. So sworn off dentist for the rest of his life. So a very common experience. A bad experience can just throw you off forever. Stephanie, onboarding, getting started.
I never asked for help. I feel like watching everyone around me also never ask for help was also the thing. So growing up, like, my mom never asked for help. My mom did everything herself. So I was like, oh, I got this. I'll do everything myself. That never worked out. Then eventually I took the Chicanx Latinx Studies class, and that professor, Jose Lumbreras, kept talking about getting involved, get involved, get involved. It was every class, get involved, get involved. And eventually I did, and it led to better opportunities, and I got to go to conferences in Sacramento, New York, and we created journals, and it really what got me through the Saddleback experience, because if I don't think I had a good semester that 2023 year, I don't think I would have made it through completely.
So how far along were you when you found that mentor in the Chicano studies instructor?
That was my first semester at Saddleback.
So you got pretty lucky in finding that person early on. Who was that? You got to call that out, by the way.
He's right there. He's sitting right there.
We didn't set this up either. So finding that right person happens sometimes later, sometimes earlier, but it's pretty much luck when you're doing this on your own. Alec, getting started.
This return to school for me started in the middle of an immense tragedy and trauma. And so I just asked a counselor, how many units do I have anyway? Almost 70. I can't take much to get the AA then, right? 10 classes. But I signed up for the first 2 in the summer, which is a bad idea. But then I was sort of in. Like I've got 2 down, and whatever, 8 more to go, and it was just a matter of sticking with it because I wanted to get it done. I did not expect that I had no idea what it would take in terms of how many classes you needed from the GE stuff, but that's what it took. So once I kind of knew what I had to do, then it was a matter of getting started, getting the classes, in order to actually get it done in the smallest number of semesters. I stopped taking summer classes after that first summer, but fall and spring. So that just came down to talking to more counselors, mainly the CalWorks, helping me understand the system and how to see what fits what requirements. And they really walked me through everything. And throughout my entire time there, they kept tabs on are you still good? You got your classes in order? Are you getting what you need? Thankfully, I got into every class that I wanted to get into and got it done.
Alec, you referred to a tragedy in your life, and I am aware of what that tragedy is, and if you want to share it, you may, if you feel like it's important context. Otherwise, I will breeze right past. What's your preference?
I'll just say there's a reason that my now 3-year-old is with a babysitter and not sitting in the audience with his mom, who is the most amazing wife and mother and woman I could ever even try to describe.
And that was a precipitant for you in terms of you coming back and finishing up what you had started with the baby.
School served as a diversion. in the middle of a lot of trauma, it was something to do. And just asking that question of what would it take to get that AA I never got, kind of got the ball rolling. And once I enrolled in my first couple classes, it was just a matter of sticking with it. Fitting it in somehow meant a lot of not sleeping. Because a baby pulls you off your keyboard when they are old enough to walk a lot. And there's just a lot, to juggle. But eventually I made it through.
Do you know how incredible it is to get through a couple classes in the midst of acute grief and suddenly raising a baby on your own?
Well, that's kind. Thank you.
And I mean it. So I want to keep moving now. I want to know, in addition to your onboarding experiences, if you hit a hurdle somewhere along the way and how you navigated getting over that hurdle. If you didn't have a hurdle, it's okay. But I want to hear if there was one. We'll go in this direction again. Adam.
My biggest hurdle so far would probably be my finances. My parents aren't paying for any of school. I get a lot of help, with FAFSA and stuff like that, but there's kind of like this stigma with first-generation students and children that are parents of immigrants that once you make it, you help me. And so I go through a lot of that with my parents. Now, even to this day, I do sales right now, so my parents are always, go close a deal, go do this, and it's to help them. So that's kind of been my biggest hurdle. But I will say this. You gave a statistic saying that 87% of students choose a college or the degree for the money.
For
right?
economic future.
Surprisingly, Saddleback shifted me away from that 87%. When I first got in the finance world, it was all about the money, right? Everybody knows investment bankers make a lot of money and they drive the newest Mercedes and all this other stuff, and that was kind of my goal. But after spending some time in the tutoring center, spending some time with people that share the same interests as me, I realized that I'm still in finance, but I shifted with the branch of finance that I'm in, and I now do what I like. So it's not so much about the money. It's me being happy about getting ready to go to work, and so that's helped me a lot. So grateful for that.
Glad. Fernanda, a hurdle.
I think as far as my education, my biggest hurdle the entire time was myself. I felt like I couldn't do a lot of things, or I couldn't afford certain schools, and so I just really had to get over that. But also, I think my counselors and professors that I met, showing me that they had done it before me, really helped me get over that and just kind of push myself, and I'll figure it out later.
Stephanie?
I think for me, my biggest hurdle was kind of staying off the streets and really focus on school. I was always in trouble, always just doing stupid things that weren't progressing to my future. And I think losing homies and losing friends and them dying is where I hit. And then I would just throw tons of classes on top and just stay in school. Like, I was taking 7 classes one semester, and I would just stay in the library all day.
Alex spoke of classes being a distraction from the thing in his life he was trying not to feel so much. So it sounds like a very similar story for you. Yeah. Alec, once you did get going, what was the biggest
I would say
hurdle?
finances would have been an obstacle if it weren't for the grants I qualified for and the scholarships that CalWorks pointed me towards that I qualified for. If it wasn't for that financial assistance, it would have been harder to get through, just to spend the time taking the classes and doing all the work.
How many of you got scholarships? Anybody else get a scholarship while you're here? I don't think all of you were beneficiaries of scholarships. Thank you for that. I want to do kind of a lightning round. I want to know if you availed yourself of each of these resources that we know are important and when you availed yourself of them. So for Consular, it sounds like it was a little bit later. It wasn't at the start, but eventually you found a counselor through CalWorks. Stephanie, Consular, it was no, first semester was your mentor. So when did you see a counselor?
I joined EOPS my second year at Saddleback.
Okay. First semester. No? When was it?
I think I went my second or third semester.
Okay.
Yeah. First semester, though, was also a professor.
And Adam, arrogant Adam, who thought he could do it on his own. When did that A in trig cause you to see a counselor? When was that in your journey?
I think that was second semester.
Cool. Tutoring. Did you ever seek tutoring?
No.
Never. Tutoring.
I didn't.
Did you know about the full letter grade higher from tutoring? How are we going to convince them? Tutoring. Tutoring. When?
Yeah, I basically lived there. So as I was explaining, I don't know, we were talking about on the phone call, we were laughing about it actually. I would be just so curious about certain things and partially curious and partially confused. And I would just relentlessly push my professors and say, hey, explain this, explain that. I would have the office hours, they would explain it. I would email them. It got to the point where they'd email me back and say, hey, you know I have a life too, right? And so I was like, okay, sorry, I don't mean to disturb you. And they'd be like, but go check out the tutoring center. So that's when I got introduced to it. I went to the tutoring center, and the tutors they're awesome there. I mean, they're extremely knowledgeable, so it helped me big time.
So only because the faculty pushed you onto the tutoring center because they were getting sick of you, did you seek help from tutoring center? And did you ever visit those faculty in office hours, or was this all on online communication?
This was all, in the beginning when I first started Saddleback, I wasn't as confident with myself in the academia world, so I did all my classes in person. So yeah, it was in-person office hours.
And Fernanda, when did you ever see a faculty during office hours?
I went only one time, and
One
it was
time.
my last semester.
What made you wait so long?
I don't know. I think I just never really needed it.
Okay. Stephanie, did you ever see faculty during office hours?
I didn't.
Alec?
Only online. One of my teachers really wanted to meet everyone. It was optional, and via Zoom, because I was doing asynchronous online. I thought that was awesome. So I took advantage of that and had a really nice chat with Anthony Cesaric, and then went to one of his field trip things as well. But yeah, it's not every teacher does that, but it was so nice to have a little bit of FaceTime even online.
And it's a really valuable thing for practical reasons too. If you need help, if you need a reference letter later on, and so many first-generation students never see faculty during an office hour. If you're first generation, raise your hand if you never took advantage of seeing faculty member during office hours. It's a very common story among first-gen students, so you're not alone and shouldn't be embarrassed by it. And what about finding a mentor, like a faculty member, a peer student, someone with more experience, someone to kind of support you and guide you along the way? Alec?
It's pretty self-driven when it comes to student stuff.
Stephanie?
Yeah, I helped create a club with Jose Lumbreras and Fernanda was there too as well.
So forming the Latinx Club and starting to work on the Latinx Journal kind of gave you that community and that mentorship.
100%.
And then you had a faculty member who was your advisor who became
And
essential.
I met a lot more faculty members do that.
Was that also the case for you, Fernanda?
Yeah.
So until you get involved in those student activities, you may not have access to those people, at least in a way that makes you feel comfortable approaching them. Adam, any mentors?
So I did have one, but it wasn't at Saddleback. He's like a friend of mine. He's also the owner of the company I work for, but he has his MBA degree, and when I first met him, he kind of guided me throughout my business journey. And then what happened was I tried to find a community within Saddleback that had the same knowledge as me or had the same interest, and it was kind of hard to find, so I ended up making my own community, and I started the Investing Club, and since then I've been grateful to be a mentor to other students.
And last thing, and we've alluded to this a little bit, is engagement in kind of student activity stuff. So for instance, joining a club, being active. For either of you, were you involved in student activities in the arts? Even though you were in the arts, Alec, all the performing arts, all the events, nothing?
Well, in the last 2.5 years, it was just really about getting that degree and doing the GE stuff. In my previous Saddleback career, I was all over the stages and dance rooms and whatnot.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of time this time, understandably. Adam, are you involved in student activities?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Like events, student clubs, activities, student government, any of that stuff?
So a lot of the stuff was taking care of my own club and kind of organizing that. Besides student activity, I would try as much as I possibly can with mentoring or some sort of like tutoring, not officially in the tutoring center, but just with the peers that I did study sessions with. But that's as far as I could go because that's as far as my schedule will allow me.
How many of you are you aware now that we have student mentors that are designated, peer mentors, that can mentor you? Adam, you're aware? How many of you, if any, are aware that we have success coaches, people who can help you navigate resources? So 3 nods out of 4, not bad. What can you share with us that you learned as you went along that you wish you would have learned earlier and maybe we can share with other first-generation students? Alec?
The only thing I'd say I wish I knew earlier was that the state had my information really screwed up, and I would have gotten Cal Grant or one of those grants my first year that I didn't get, and I don't know. It'd be nice if I had some way to know that, but eventually I reached out to the state and asked about something that I found out was an option, and they were like, they were so turned around. So once my information was straightened out, I would say, I wish there was maybe like some proactive way that someone would reach out to students and make sure that they are getting every bit of financial aid, grants, whatever that they might qualify for, and if not, why not? That's the only thing I could say I wish I knew for a year earlier.
That's really good. Stephanie?
I think I really wish I knew that there is actually like a lot of opportunities. Like I went to China over the spring break with the program. Like that was incredible, and I would have never known that if like I didn't actually get involved. So
What were you involved with that led to your being part of the China cohort?
My major political science, so Anthony recommended
Anthony
to
says right.
apply. Yeah, and I think, like I remember telling my mom, "Oh yeah, I'm going to New York." She's like, "Who's paying for that?" I was like, "The school." Yeah, I think it's like really, like it does pay off.
I'm glad. Fernanda?
I think going into my first semester, I wish I would have known about everything. I think I got involved pretty early on, but I would have probably started way sooner. I think I knew how helpful EOPS was. I would have gone way sooner, and I probably would have, like it would have been an extra push at the beginning of my schooling. And I also think if I knew more about success coaching, I would have gone. I didn't go into like probably the last week I was at Saddleback. And yeah, I think if there was more information on actually I guess the actual logistics of what those different departments do, if I knew like, if I had a list of things they can actually help you with, I would have probably gone way sooner, but I just thought like, they're just there.
Adam?
The mentor, honestly, I don't know where I would be without my mentor. He's guided me so much and he's saved me so much time and headaches, so I think that the mentor...
Do you want to do a shout out?
Correct.
Who is it?
Oh, wait, say that again?
Who's your mentor?
His name is Daniel Besserell. He just graduated from Cal State Long Beach, and he's amazing. He's a business owner, and he's in the finance world, so he's been kind of just guiding me through that and holding my hand throughout the entire journey. So that is something definitely I would advise somebody that's a first gen, like find a mentor in your field immediately.
And how did you find him?
I actually found him when I was in one of my foster systems. He came in and, he's a nice guy. He likes to, give back to the community. And so he gave like a financial literacy presentation. And I always kind of shoot my shot with people. So I told him, I said, hey, like, I'm going to be getting out pretty soon. I'm going to be starting college, which was Saddleback. I said, do you think you could kind of guide me? And he goes, yeah, no worries. So I got out, gave him a call, and he's just been guiding me throughout that entire journey.
Great. One last question. So we're all ears. You know why you're here. You heard my speech. We always want to get better at what we do, and we pride ourselves on listening to students for advice and brilliant insights and tips on what we can do better. So knowing that that comes from our hearts, that we really mean it, we want to be student-centered and we want to get better and better at what we do for first generation and all students, here's your chance. Give us a tip, give us some advice on what we could do better, what we could do to help more first generation students make it up to the dais and complete and have earnings gains and have rich lives and everything that you all deserve. Alec, your tip.
I got nothing but gratitude. From what I've observed and heard from your staff, this college has an amazing shepherd in you. And I got no advice. Honestly, I'm impressed by the love and care and concern and sincerity that I see in the staff at Saddleback and in its president.
Steph, thank you
I had
very
a
much.
great experience too, but I feel like some professors needs to be more understanding of other people's backgrounds as well. And
Tell me about that.
I think it's more, I took in some classes where it was not very understanding, or they didn't understand where other people came from, and they didn't really take knowledge of that, and it was more just do your work, focus on that, listen to this, do that. And it was
What was the opposite of that? What was an example of a class you took where you realized, oh, I didn't get that in that other class? You know what I mean?
I think comparing one of Anthony's to that person's, it was, he gave you resources, he pushed you to other things, not just that major specifically, or not just that class focus. Like, it wasn't just focused on that, what he was teaching, he also gave you opportunities to outreach to other things.
And how did Anthony demonstrate to you that he did care about your background and your circumstances and cared about you as an individual? How was that manifested to you? How did you realize that?
I think him, like, no matter what, he would give every club an opportunity to speak. He would give everyone an opportunity to show their interest in his class.
Fernando, your tip. It's our future.
I think for me, like all of the times I was able to open up to a counselor or a professor was because I saw them as an equal, if that makes sense. I think they opened up to me first. I saw them as human. I think as a first-generation student going into college, I thought of my professors and the counselors as people who were placed there, and they just were set up for success, and they had their journeys be easy. But hearing from them, I was like, okay, they've been here, they've struggled, they have a backstory, they're not robots. So I think opening up to your students and letting them see that you've struggled is really important.
Kind of showing your vulnerability, showing your own humanity. Adam, last tip, you're going to bring us home.
I think, this may sound kind of cruel, I think pushing students more and pushing them to their limits would be something that's great. So I didn't really feel too much of that from a lot of the staff. I felt like sometimes they wanted to stay within the safe boundaries and kind of keep me on the safe route. But as I grew my connections with students here, I've partnered with like very few students, maybe 2 or 3, where I do study sessions with, and it's super intense. It gets competitive when we do our study sessions, and are kind of like who could get the highest grade, who could take the hardest class, and who's going to get the best university, that sort of stuff. And I wish I had that early on. I didn't get that till like my 2nd year. But if I had that early on, I think I would have killed a lot more of my classes right away, and I would have completed a lot more. So please push.
That's a great tip. Sometimes we say, if you want to lift people up, raise the bar, don't lower it.
Yeah.
And it's also a really good insight, because sometimes we think, how do we make students more successful? We should lower the bar. We should get course, and that's not what we're saying. We're saying it's about the love and the support and recognizing who you are as individuals and making sure you know how important and how amazing you are, and not about making things easier for you. If anything, you want to be pushed, you want to be challenged. Really good messages, and I will not try to analyze anything more, because I think these statements speak for themselves, and these are for people who are more articulate than I am most of the time. So thank you. Can I get a round of applause for them? In closing, we are here to open up a grand, beautiful new facility. But who we are and what creates those high wage gains and what makes Special Sauce is about who we are as people and how we feel about and interact with these people and the other 27,996 that we support every day. And that's the most important message. And as you hear me outside now boasting to the public about our new building, remember that it's always about the people and the love of students first and facilities second. Proud though we may be of this and all of our facilities renewal. Thank you all for driving out here or for taking the bus to be here today. I am really grateful that we can celebrate the building together and celebrate the work we do and kick off the year together. Thank you all. You are just as amazing as I had hoped you would be. And I think there are pearls in there that each of us will take forward as we start the year. So know that your trips up here and the time that you gave us will be worth it and important to us, and really admire you all. Want to leave with one last thing. What do you want to do? What's your next step, Alec? We want to know.
Like post-graduation?
Yeah. What's next? What's your career goal?
Well, generally, I'm always just looking to evolve in my world of the arts, you know, in the performing arts.
Stephanie?
I want to join the Peace Corps and then hopefully go into urban policy, urban planning.
We certainly hope the Peace Corps is still there.
Yeah.
Fernanda?
I want to finish my bachelor's and go to law school.
Ooh, I like that. Adam?
Graduate from UPenn and try to become the best wealth manager in the world.
You heard it here. He's going to Wharton, and we're going to make it happen. Thank you all. Let's go start a new building and cut some ribbon. Hello there. Hey, we just want to orient everybody. We're not starting yet. We're going to start in a couple minutes, but we wanted to orient everybody. We have just for what's happening here. In just a couple minutes, we're going to start our ribbon cutting with some relatively short statements. So most of us will remain standing during that time and then do the ribbon cutting, and then we'll actually tour the buildings. Clap once if you can hear my voice. Clap twice if you can hear my voice. Okay, we're going to start in just a couple minutes. We've got some seating up front. If you need to sit, please come join us up front. Everyone else, we promise not to be too long. Thank you for coming. We'll start in just a couple minutes.
Welcome. You've got to get really close to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know sometimes there's interference with
Well, they should be able to turn it up, too.
Let the
I mean,
bass kick. Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick.
welcome. Welcome, everybody. We are so glad you're here and so honored to have you joining us today. Welcome, everybody. We have a few seats up front if there's anybody who needs seating. The good thing about having an event with people standing is it puts pressure on us, the speakers, to be quick and succinct because no one wants to stand for an hour. So we promise to be quick and succinct and to have an event, forgive me for the wind noise, not much we can do about that, but to have an event that honors our building and our colleges and the district in an appropriate way, but then save most of the time for your being able to tour those facilities. So thank you so much for being here. I want to acknowledge a few of the electeds who are here in particular, as well as our own district. So first of all, Jonathan Stone from TUSD. Allison Munoz Damicolis from Tustin USD. Katie McEwen from Irvine USD. Jamie Mai, Vice Mayor for Irvine. Stephen Elvies, Irvine Chief of Staff. Stephen. William Go, City Council Member from the City of Irvine. Barbara Schulman from SVUSD. Hi, Barbara. Carrie Lynn Baert, RSM City Council Member. Mike Munzing, Aliso Viejo City Council Member. Brian Dozer, Superintendent from Coastline ROP. Brian, where are you? There you are. And Melinda Liu, Irvine Council Member. Thank you all for joining us. I want to also acknowledge our own team starting at the district level and our own leadership. What you're about to see today will wow you, and if it does, you should be thinking about the people who've been planning this for the last couple decades and have put their hearts behind it to make sure that it came to fruition. So first, the Board of Trustees for the South Orange Community College District, President Carolyn Inman. Vice President of the Trustees, Ryan Dack. Clerk of the Trustees, TJ Prendergast. Trustee Lisa Bartlett. Trustee Marcia Milchiker. Trustee Dr. Terry Witt-Rydell. And Trustee Tim Jamal. Chancellor for the entire South Orange Community College District, which includes both Saddleback College and our sister college located next door, Irvine Valley College, Dr. Juliana Barnes. Vice Chancellors for the South Orange Community College District, Vice Chancellor for Business Services, Anne-Marie Gable. Vice Chancellor for Human Resources, Dr. Cindy Viscachill. Vice Chancellor for EdTech, Educational Technology Services, Dr. Chris McDonald. He's a busy man lately. Vice President, College Administrative Services on my team, so at the college, Rod Garcia. Saddleback's Vice President of Instruction, Tramvo Kumamoto. And Vice President for Student Services, Dr. Jennifer LaBounty. I'll be back in just a few moments to acknowledge and thank some of the people who've been responsible for the coming to fruition of this project after lots of hurdles along the way. But first, we're going to have a few people speak, and again, I promise you, knowing that you're standing, we will try to be brief. First, we're going to hear a land acknowledgement from a member of the Hashman tribe, Athalia Sandoval.
little bit shorter. Miyuyam. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adelia Sandoval, and I am the spiritual overseer and the cultural director of the Hashiman people, the One Annual Band of Mission Indians. I would like to acknowledge that this beautiful camp
On behalf of the South Orange County Community College District Board of Trustees, it is a privilege to stand here today to celebrate the opening of Saddleback at ATEP. This day represents the power of vision, commitment, and collaboration. Our board has long believed that this campus could be a place where education meets innovation, and today that vision becomes a reality. As both colleges now fully represented here at ATEP alongside our strong and supportive industry partners. ATEP is a truly innovative concept, years in the making, a testament to the need of strong relationships, partnerships with the business community, our educators, and the residents who share our belief in the transformative power of education. Together, we are ensuring that South Orange County remains a leader in workforce training, economic growth, and opportunity for all. Many thanks to Chancellor Barnes and President Stern and your amazing teams for making this vision of ATEP a reality. This campus will provide students with the tools, the training, and the confidence they need to thrive in the careers of tomorrow.
Thank you, President Inman. Chancellor for South Orange County Community College District, Dr. Juliana Barnes.
Thank you so much. Well, hello and welcome, and thank you for joining us today here at Saddleback College and the Advanced Technology and Education Park in the South Orange County Community College District. I don't know if you could feel it. I know I could feel it, but it feels like there's something in the air, like a cool breeze that's bringing in new beginnings, right? And so we did not reach this long-awaited opening day without some hazy days and some roadblocks where the destination may have felt a little bit distant. And maybe out of reach. But today here we stand here together with a clear pathway, a clear purpose to connect education to the real world. skills that the Orange County's industries absolutely need today and in the years to come. So here, if you've been paying attention, this is like beautiful. Our students are going to be learning in this space, in these state-of-the-art facilities. They're going to collaborate with industry partners and prepare for high-demand, high-growth careers. Saddleback's presence and footprint at ATEP lengthens the bridge, linking education to employment, connecting students to opportunity and belonging. And also together, our communities come together, the education and our business leaders. Saddleback at ATEP represents our commitment to preparing the next generation of innovators, leaders, and problem solvers who will shape the future of our region and our state. And now we are in full gear and the horizon is clear. The path forward is open, and together we are ready to move forward, and we're going to do it together. So thank you all again for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chancellor Barnes. I'm last, and then we're going to cut some ribbon and get on with our tours of the building. For those of you who have brought proclamations with you today, we'll have an opportunity after cutting the ribbon to present proclamations. We'll have photo ops for anyone who would like to be part of a photo op. We also have a balloon photo op over there set up for anyone who would like Instagrammable photos or selfies. All kinds of opportunities here today. But it's very important to me as president of Saddleback College that we acknowledge the people that got us here, specifically thanks to some people who've been involved very much in the construction and planning of this building. So I have spoken before of the importance of the chancellor and the trustees in making this dream a reality for as long as it has existed on the agenda for this, this district. So I want to thank them again. But specifically, I also want to thank some of the people who have been working 60, 70 hours a week to get this project done. And I am referring to the district construction management team, Medhani Ephraim, Mary Opal, and Matt Blitch. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. From Saddleback College, our new ATEP manager, Casey Cooper, and Dean John Jaramillo. Our entire IT team under Thurman Brown and Mario, and our FMO team under Tim Wooten. Thank you all for everything you've done. The program leads and the program staff who have been unpacking, planning, setting up, doing everything to make today possible and to get students in here next week. Culinary, Lisa, Kathleen, Barbara, Otto, Taylor, Raj, Chef, thank you guys. You have just worked tirelessly to make this happen. We are really appreciate it. Our good neighbors next door in the IVC Idea Building, we thank you as well for your moral and physical support. Architects, Gensler, construction managers, Bernards, inspectors of record, the Anaheim Group, our GC Swinnerton, and finally, important people in my life, the people who made this event possible in all of its coordination and making sure everything is right, everybody's fed, everybody's taken care of. Trish Fain and Erica Presby, thank you both. Today, I want to welcome everyone to this and just say a few words before we cut the ribbon. So I want to welcome my colleagues, elected officials, industry partners, educational partners, donors, students, members of the community. We see a lot of people out there. Welcome to the future of hands-on teaching and learning. Welcome to our campus's new satellite facility and our new second home of Tustin. Welcome to Saddleback at ATEP. Today, we witness the fruition of the vision of our trustees to build a satellite campus for Saddleback College and our sister college, IVC, where our contributions to the workforce and economic vitality of Orange County would be more forward-facing than the state-of-the-art labs found in less obvious places on our campus, where industry would live next door and where we would join hands with industry in public-private partnerships to serve our students, their future employers, and the economic growth of Orange County, California, and our country, where innovation would be birthed right here from state-of-the-art facilities and where that spirit of innovation will imbue the spaces in which learning happens, and our students will therefore be inspired to imagine, create, lead, and move forward the entire transportation and hospitality sectors. With Saddleback at ATEP, we have an opportunity today to more easily engage and collaborate with partners in industry and education than we ever had in the past. located throughout both South and now Central Orange County. We can provide more access to students who dream of working on the cars of the future or working in the culinary arts facilities of the future. This is a place where dreams will be realized and careers will be started. Saddleback ATEP consists of 2 buildings, one housing our auto tech program, and as you'll see, focusing on EV and autonomous vehicle support, and the other housing our culinary arts and hospitality programs, featuring 4 hotel-sized kitchens and a world-class restaurant on site. All these facilities are state-of-the-art and built for the future. As you tour these facilities today, I'm telling you, you will be wowed, trust me. You will ask yourself, wait a minute, is this too much? Does this align with a well-recognized public institution like Saddleback that still charges $46 a credit, the equivalent of about $3,000 for a 2-year degree in one of these programs? The answer is yes, and give me just a moment or two to explain why. First, at Saddleback, we believe that our students, wealthy, poor, first generation to attend college, or the third in their family to attend Saddleback, all deserve the very best learning environment. You've heard the expression that form drives function. Well, environment also drives self-worth, confidence, ambition, belief in oneself. A student who cooks in this facility will feel confident enough to work in a Michelin star restaurant anywhere in the world. A student who learns automotive technology here will know that they can go to work in the service department for Mercedes or Hyundai or Rivian or Lucid. The world is their Waymo. Second, we pride ourselves on creating teaching and learning environments that match the workplace of the future. That's very important to us. If you've been to our main campus and you've seen our advanced manufacturing lab, you know it's filled with 6-figure CNC machines and robotics. The floor is spotless. We are currently building our new math and computer science building on campus. That one will open in January, with a state-of-the-art cybersecurity lab with digital walls that look like a cybersecurity lab from any high-tech company anywhere in the world. And now these facilities here at ATEP too are intended to mimic the best workplaces in the world for commercial kitchens and automotive technology, the absolute best. And as a result of that, that journey from training to working will be absolutely seamless for our students. Our students will leave this culinary program trained on both gas and induction cooking. Our students will leave our auto tech program trained to do camera and sensor calibration and testing in a state-of-the-art black lab. That's right, we've got one here just for that purpose, and we'll make sure that our students will be ready. The third reason why these facilities, fancy as they are, align perfectly with what we do, because they represent an investment in our students. Saddleback students enjoy the highest wage gain of students that attend any of the 42 community colleges in Orange County, LA County, or San Diego County. We are #1 out of 42 in wage gains. And we do that by investing in our students, by making sure that they can go out and they can work anywhere they want to and have the training and preparedness to do that. And finally, we build the best of everything because we believe that the quality of our facilities should match the quality of the teaching and the supports for which Saddleback is famous. Our faculty, our lab techs, our supports are the best. And now, finally, our facilities are too. So as you tour our new facilities today, we're happy to hear the wows. We're happy to see some jaws drop because these facilities will be built for the people who will work in them next week, among the most talented and student-centered that you will ever meet. And for the students who will be learning in them next week, among the most deserving people you will ever meet, full of dreams and hopes for their future lives and careers in a place that will transform their lives. At the end of the day, this isn't just a place where we cook and service cars. It's a place where we transform lives. It should be as beautiful as the potential we see in the faces of our students, and it is. This is Saddleback, now in Tustin 2, and this is Saddleback at ATEP. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. Let's cut some ribbon.